Welcome to Recovery Rockstars Uncut, uniting the recovery community with raw and real stories. Your host, Kevin Z, puts the light on people and brands that are rocking the recovery lifestyle. So you want to be a rock superstar? RecoveryRockstars.com. Now, here's Kevin.
What's up, and welcome to Recovery Rockstars Uncut. I'm your host, Kevin Z, and today we have a very special show. Coming all the way from Windsor, Colorado, we've got Christina. Christina, what's up?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. I am so excited to have you on the show. And for all these people out there, I got to let them know that you and I were just talking offline, and this is one of the first times you've been on a podcast and really shared your story. So I want to say thank you.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yes, you're welcome.
Let's start here. How long have you been sober, Christina?
So my official sobriety date is March 21st, 2016. So I just hit 2 years sober.
Congratulations. That's absolutely amazing. Now, I want to go all the way back to the very beginning. I want to get some history on your struggles with alcoholism. I believe you said you started drinking when you were 14 years old?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So I grew up in a small town in Wyoming. It's about 5,000 people. We moved around a lot growing up, though. So we lived in Texas. I was born in Colorado. But flashback, so go back to when I'm 14, I was a curious 14-year-old, saw alcohol always in the kitchen. My dad had bottles all the time. So I'm 14, I've got friends, and had a slumber party, and we decided we'd get crazy and get into dad's liquor cabinet. And that's kind of where it started for me. It made me feel comfortable. It made me feel confident. I battled social anxiety really bad growing up. I was really shy. And so it made me feel good. And I liked that.
So at 14, were you a freshman in high school?
So I was in 8th grade.
Okay, 8th grade. And then when you say you battled social anxiety, so this is just being around school, were you in any sports or activities?
Yeah, so I was super active. I played a lot of sports. I was in choir. I was in band. My mom was really good about pushing me to stay active. So I played every sport imaginable that was available. I danced. I played piano. Constantly active. I think moving around was really hard because we would get comfortable in a spot and then we'd move. We lived in Texas for 8 years, but we lived in different towns. So I didn't really stay in one spot for very long.
Yeah, that's got to be tough on a child going all around and putting yourself in new scenarios with new friends and new people and constantly having to keep up with that. So I can understand where that social anxiety would come from.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had 2 older sisters. They're 8 and 5 years older than me.
Okay.
So the fact that they were so much older than me, I kind of depended on them to talk for me. We'd be out in public and they would talk for me. So that was a part of it too. I would kind of hide behind my sisters and my mom and just let them talk for me. So anytime I was in a situation where it was just me, I would freeze. I would freak out.
Yeah.
Because I was so shy. Yeah.
So then you're 14, having your sleepover, you taste alcohol for the first time. Did you get drunk the first time or?
So we mixed Crown Royal with milk.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah. Again, we were just like,
Yikes.
What's this?
Yeah.
That looks good with that. Let's put it together. And it was terrible. It was awful. It was really disgusting. So then we decided to remove the milk and just drink it straight. So yeah, I got pretty sick. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, got really sick.
But still, there was that feeling of that somewhat felt good. It helped me with my anxiety. And then you were curious.
Exactly.
And then
Yep.
Is that where the dominoes started to fall?
For sure. Yeah. So it progressed, I would say probably at around 16, it started. So about sophomore, junior year in high school, it started to become a little bit more dominant in my life where the weekends was about partying. And in the summertime, we would constantly be going to parties and drinking and getting drunk. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be cool. I played sports, so I was automatically in a group of really close people on a sports team, but I still always felt like the outsider, something was wrong.
Yeah.
So going to parties and drinking and having fun and being that cool, at the time, I thought it was to be that cool drunk girl. That was my identifier.
Did things progress as you went through high school? I hate to say this, but I kind of feel like it's pretty typical for kids who are in high school to test out. I mean, we're young, we're naive, we don't know what's going on in the world. We want to all be cool, separate ourselves. And then all of a sudden, you get into college. Did that progress into college? Were you still drinking? Were you still playing sports, or how did things progress?
So it kind of ruined my college career. So I graduated high school just fine. Everything was fine. Went to Colorado State University, which is why I live where I live. CSU's in Fort Collins, Colorado. So I went to CSU. Now I went from a high school of about 400 to 500 people total to a college where my freshman classes were about that big. So again, the social anxiety
was just like, say tripled.
So bad.
Yeah.
I was so scared. I was just like, what the hell am I doing? And so I immediately jumped into parties again. And that's where I felt comfortable. But this time I had the freedom where I could party whenever I wanted. It wasn't just on the weekend. It was every night. I was getting so drunk that I was hungover the next day and missing classes. And I couldn't handle it. So I ended up dropping out right around Thanksgiving break of the first semester. Went back, lived with my mom. My parents got divorced when I was 16. So she was down in Denver with me. So I moved back in with my mom when I was, 18. Got a job, decided I was going to try to get my shit together basically, and go back to college the following year, which I did, but it still was a problem. Like it never stopped. I was going into bars, I had a fake ID. I was constantly drinking, even though I wasn't going to school. I had a full-time job, but I was still drinking and partying and going to bars. And
what was your relationship with your mom? Because you said your dad was an alcoholic. They got divorced when you were 16. So she saw that you dropped out of college. Was there immediate concern? Was she concerned about your drinking? Did you guys have conversations about your drinking? Did she have any idea?
I think no. So to answer your question, no, we never had any conversations about my drinking. And I never got the idea from her that she was concerned about me. My mother is very supportive, very loving, very kind. So I think she just wanted to support me however she could. Unfortunately, even up to, when I finally decided I had got to fix this, no one really said to me, hey, I think you've got a problem. I think a big part of that is, and I realized this when I got sober, is your family doesn't want that to be the case. They don't want to see that you are this alcoholic that needs help. So I think because I was a functional alcoholic, meaning I could carry on with my jobs, I could, be in society just fine. I think to them and to society, I didn't have a problem, but I knew inside, I was depending on it a little for the wrong reasons. Yeah. I wasn't using alcohol as a social gathering thing where people can go and have a couple drinks and enjoy themselves and have a good time. I was using it I was depending on it to be somebody else, to cope, to get rid of whatever feelings I had or to make me feel a different way. I was abusing it.
Then you said you were living with your mom and you ended up going back to college, correct?
Yep. So I went back to CSU, same thing, lessons weren't learned. I made it another few months, had to drop out again because I was just partying all the time. I mean, it was to the point where I was hungover and in bed till 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, puking my guts out all day, go take a shower, start partying again at 9 o'clock that night.
Take me through your internal mindset right there, because you said that you were relying on alcohol, but obviously you're sleeping in, you're throwing up, and you're doing it all over again, and you have your social anxiety. Were you starting to battle depression? Did you ever think, okay, I really need to get help? And did you actually take a step to get help? Did you have roommates who knew and were concerned, or were you kind of all in this together with your friends and it was fun and it was partying and you didn't really think you had a problem?
I would look at I was in a sorority, and I would look at my sorority sisters and think, I wish I had my shit together like they do, because they would get up and go to class.
Yeah.
There were a couple other girls that were kind of with me. They would party more like me, but they were still getting their shit together and going to class.
Yeah.
So there was a definite envy there. but it never occurred to me to stop. I couldn't stop. I was like, I'm free. I can do whatever I want. I'm just going to keep going. The lesson really it wasn't learned.
Were you drink alone a lot of the times, or were you always with somebody?
It's funny, Kevin. I'll look back and think, oh, I was drinking just as much as everybody else because I would have people around me. But when I really look back at the situations, people weren't drinking. Like, they were kind of hanging out, but I was the one like taking shots and drinking out of the bottle. Like, I would take bottles with me places. But because I was in a group, I guess I thought, well, they're drinking just as much as me.
Right.
No one's saying anything to me. No one's saying, hey, Christina, you're crazy. Like, let's tone it. Nobody ever stopped me from what I was doing. And I think if someone did, I don't know if I would have listened to them, to be honest with you. I don't know if I would have said, maybe you're right. I was spiraling so far down that it was just like, this is my life right now. And I was depressed. I was absolutely depressed.
Yeah. So then it's that spiraling could be extremely powerful when you continue to drink and you wake up and you're hungover and you bury yourself into more depression and you feel like the only way to get out is by consuming more alcohol. And it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So then you dropped out a second time. Did you go back a third, or did you just decide college isn't for me?
Yep. So I decided, I always wanted to be a massage therapist. That was always something in my head that I knew I wanted to do. So I decided to go to massage therapy school right away. So that was in 2001 that I enrolled into massage therapy school. So I dropped out of CSU, got an apartment with a girl from the same sorority. She left the sorority. She kept going to CSU. We got an apartment together. I was going to massage school at night and pretty much partying and drinking during the day. I would go to school at night, come home. We'd party all night till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd sleep, till 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, go to school at night. It didn't interfere with my school for massage. Like, I was able to keep that going. I ended up getting a job where I was working during the day. But again, it kind of interfered, but not. I mean, I would miss days here and there because I was hungover, but I ended up getting my certificate in 2002, held, full-time jobs, got massage therapy jobs, was, still functioning just fine. But I knew I felt like I was just moving through the days. Like, I was just I was a shell of myself. Yeah. For sure. Like, I had lost my identity completely.
Was there a rock bottom moment where you said, okay, enough's enough. I can't handle this anymore. I'm done. I don't want to do this. Fuck it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I have been married twice, and it was with my second marriage where things really just hit hard. I had my third kid with him. I have two older boys from my first marriage, and then my youngest is from my second. And we were drinking every night.
That's what. Okay, so let's go back to your first husband, if you don't mind, because I want to go through this. Yeah. You met him. You were drinking, and your first husband, he was on the same page. You guys met. Yep. You had fun. You got married, and you were feeding off each other, and thought life was great, partying, having a good old time, and you had 2 boys. And then during this, being a mom, being a massage therapist, being a wife, raising 2 kids, and drinking, I'm sure you were just starting to spiral out of control.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It started, I would only drink on the weekends. It would be, I would be your typical weekend warrior. I would look forward to Fridays, drink and party all the weekends, and then be just fine during the week. Mm-hmm. Like, at that point, I didn't feel like I was depending on it every night. Yeah. It was on the weekend. But it was definitely interfering, we were partying too much. It was a toxic situation for both of us. Mm-hmm. We got divorced. I went on my own, met my second husband. And that's when things really, it became a nightly thing for me. Because at that point, I was lost. I was even more lost as far as what's my purpose? Who am I? What do I want? Mm-hmm. No idea. I was 29. I had no clue. Yeah. I was lost. No clue.
And then your second husband, was he drinking with you too? Did he know?
Yeah. So he was drinking every night. We'd be drinking, and he never said anything.
Wow.
Never said like,